2 Samuel provides a biography of the life of one of history's greatest human leaders. God called and appointed King David, a man of unremarkable pedigree, to lead the nation of Israel following Saul's extended but ultimately failed reign. David inherited a fractured nation that under God's direction he built into a prominent, powerful, united nation. The book of 2 Samuel, like most political biographies, describes the character traits that enabled David to lead the people. Traits such as his courage, faith, daily reliance on God, and wisdom. David's failures are also chronicled throughout the book, as his lust and pride ultimately hindered his leadership and resulted in tragic consequences for David, his family, and the nation. 2 Samuel describes the time from the death of Saul to the latter part of David's reign. With God's leading, David united the people and led this young nation to become a military power able to dominate the other, much more established nations of the day. After capturing the Jebusite fortress of Jerusalem, David made this fortified city the capital of the nation and organized Israel's worship of God at this key location. From there, David led the people to drive out the inhabitants of the land and all of the surrounding region. Israel's burgeoning military power, combined with the waning influence of the pagan nations, allowed David to eventually control territory from the border of Egypt to the Euphrates River. God's leadership over Israel and their submission to his rule allowed them to appropriate the blessings found in the Promised Land. God had not only proven faithful to give them the land, but he also was faithful to provide his promised blessings for their obedience. The account of David's reign maintains a consistently hopeful tone in contrast to the failure seen at the end of Saul's rule. Even after his well-publicized personal failures, David's humility and leadership served as the embodiment of God's leadership among the people. Yet David himself would not be the eternal king. That king would come through David's line and would rule in a way far superior to David, without the sin that ultimately hampered David's reign. God reiterated his covenant commitment to his people and provided David with a unique glimpse into the way in which he would ultimately fulfill his promises in the Davidic covenant, where God promised David an eternal throne, an eternal reign, and an eternal dynasty. God fulfilled this threefold promise to David by sending Jesus, the Messiah who had been promised for centuries. This perfect king would perfectly establish God's eternal throne, reign, and dynasty. It's this perfect reign that believers both enjoy today through the power of the Holy Spirit and look forward to in the future, when Jesus will return on the clouds to bring justice to the nations and to restore all of creation. This God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord proves true. He is a shield for all those who take refuge in him. 2 Samuel 22:31.